Alright guys, today I'm going to be going over the official Anime Last Stand tier list. Let's get it popping. We're going to be going over the best infinite mode units first, and then I'll show you guys the best units based on element, as well as for raids and story. So let's get it started guys. The best farm units in the game, the only one that I recommend currently using is Yojin. However, Idol has this slightly nice benefit where she doesn't give you a whole lot of money compared to Yojin, but she does buff range. So if you have a full AoE unit, that range buff could be very, very good. Alright. Next up, we have the other farm units that definitely are not as good. So I definitely do not recommend using those. So just skip out on those. So next up, we have the good support tier units. So these ones, some of them are good, some of them are bad. The thing about Kisuke is he blocks your base from hitting a certain amount of enemies. I don't know if this applies to bosses, but that's actually kind of useful. Funny Valentine, he gets a random enchant, so not that useful. Time King, he's like a full AoE time stop type unit. Gojo's kind of similar. Garo's, he has like that bone break thing. The rest of them, I don't really recommend that much. They're kind of okay, but it is what it is. Bowback, he's not a bad starter unit, but this is for infinite. So infinite-wise, not really that good. So okay DPS units. I'm going to be honest, guys. You guys probably have better DPS units than these. These ones are all outdated, so we're going to skip over them. All right, so next up we have the good Hill Hybrid units. So some of the ones I recommend getting, if you're in World 1, Guts is a very good for World 1. Urahara is no longer obtainable. However, he was really good to get considering he's basically was a free meta unit. Some other ones I like are the new ones, I guess we'll go over. Gremmy, I really like a lot. He's a little bit harder to get than some of the units, but he's one of the top 10 DPSs in the game. And considering you only need a Mythic Evo, that's very useful for a lot of newer players. She's pretty cool because she's good on every single mode. Her element is just 300% damage to every unit. Some other ones that are decent. Poochie actually has surprisingly high DPS. I don't know why he's ranked so low on this list. Same with a bunch of these guys. So these ones are all pretty decent. So they're going to get you pretty decent, good, and Hill had a hybrid DPS, but they're just not quite like top of the top. Next up, we got meta support. So Gojo and Rukia do not stack. However, you can still use both. So you can put like Gojo down and then Rukia somewhere else. Gojo is kind of nice because you can like resell him, and you can slow units on the entire map, which is very useful. Dio Over Heaven has a really nice time stop. The new Tony Stark, why did I say Tony Stark? Bruh. They look kind of similar, but no, this is Aizen. The new Aizen, he has a cool ability where he basically does insane amounts of damage. So I don't know why he's on the support tier. I'll have to double check that one later. Shang's isn't as good as he used to be, but his Conquer ability is kind of meta. Some of these are okay. These two give you like really tiny buffs, so I don't know how worth it that is. Poochie teleports your enemies backwards, which is very nice. Highly recommended. And Volderas and Rimuru, they're great lightning units if you want lightning as your time stop of choice. All right, next up we have the meta ground. So this guy has really bad AoE, but a ton of damage. So if you're hitting bosses, he's going to be a good bet. Same with this guy. Yami, he's kind of outdated. I don't know why he's still on this list. He's a little bit outdated to me. However, he is kind of nice because he's dark element. He's good against every unit, especially light. But he won't do the like minus 300% damage or whatever, 30%, whatever, minus 70%. Meta Hill Hybrid. So these are the best units in the game for basically anything. This guy right here, man, he does insane DPS. With his ability, he's doing double any other unit's DPS. Every time he hits, he gains more damage. Kind of like how Sung Jin Woo used to work. So if you're doing infinite mode unit, he's a must-have. Dio Over Heaven's the next best DPS. Escanor, he buffs your team's damage by 20%. So if you stack him on top of Aizen, it's insanely busted. This guy gives you 35% range, which is pretty good, but he also has just straight up good DPS. Same with these guys. Kin has really good DPS. However, it has a really weird ability where it resets every wave. So if you're not auto-skipping, this guy can do busted amounts of DPS. Ichigo has really good DPS for bosses. However, the problem with Ichigo is his AoE is just not the greatest. So it is a little bit of a problem there. Rimuru has some decent DPS and some nukes. And Yamamoto also has really high DPS as well. And if you're on a nature map, very, very good. So top 10 DPSs in the game are these guys right here. So the one thing about Ichigo I don't recommend is his AoE sucks so bad I can't recommend him. Gremmy's really good, full AoE. So some of these I don't really recommend. Like I would skip Kaiju and Ichigo because their AoE suck compared to everybody else, which is basically effectively full AoE. Except for a few of these like guys that which aren't full AoE but have way better than those AoEs. And then we have meta overall. I don't know if I would really bring... I guess this guy's a decent slow unit. But these are the meta overall units. We kind of already covered all of them. You guys can go over them. All right, next up, we're going to go over the... So let's go over to Discord. And let's go take a look at the elemental tier list. So, yes. And let's go over here to ALS. And let's go to progressive. So here we go, guys. So this is for story modes and raids. So farm units, the same as before. Meta support, Gojo and Rukia are so good, guys. I don't know why they didn't put Rukia on this list. But Gojo and Rukia are busted OP supports. Tatsumaki is very good if you're doing a high cost mode. And I will be honest, guys, the best unit to start out with now is Ichigo. He surpassed Rengoku and Benimaru. Now, Benimaru is like low budget Ichigo if you can't get it. And Ichigo is also hybrid as well. It's insane, guys. Ichigo is the greatest. Tatsumaki is good if you're stuck in World 1 right now. And the rest are pretty good for like later waves. But Ichigo is just head over heels better than everybody else. Another unit I like to use is this guy here, Division Captain. If you're on a dark map, this guy does triple damage, so he's very useful for that. So highly, highly recommend it. And the rest are kind of okay. But honestly, if I didn't mention their names, I wouldn't really bother. So next up, we got the sorted by elementals. So we'll see if I agree with this list. So support, we already went all over those. So light units, Dio Over Heaven and Gojo and Gremmy. So these three are really good. However, there's a lot of great light units in general. I'll be honest, most of these on this list are pretty good. These two are only really good for early modes. So dark units, Ichigo is the GOAT. However, he requires like 65 mythic shards, which is freaking insane. So him and Sukuna are really good bets right there to have. And Aizen is really good for infinite mode. Nature units, she's actually good because she's every element, so maybe go for her. However, I will say I believe Rin is now the highest DPS. That's only if his ability triggers, though. If you do that right, he's just busted. Water units, Yawatch is the GOAT, as well as Rimuru for DPS. Noel's actually secretly good, and Rukia is also pretty good as well. I would recommend Rukia just for ability alone. Fire units, starting out, use Rengoku, and then move that into Yamamoto and Escanor. That should go to strategy for fire. So those are the best units in each element. And then now we have the best souls in the game. And let's go over those real quick. Don't know why those aren't loading in. But Solar Brute Force is very good. And Solar Precision is eh. I would say Solar Brute Force is head over heels really good. And so is Inner Potential. And like Soul of, I believe it's Soul of Blood. These ones are really, really good. This one is good for like range and stuff. Now support unit wise, Prosperous Wishes. If you put this on your money unit, it's going to make you busted OP. And the rest of them are pretty good as well. So it's just a quick little one of those. And if you guys disagree with this list, Barrow is one of the people who made it. So here you go, guys. So this is just kind of a screenshot if you want to take it before you comment down on this list. So here's some tier list changes. So Aizen, apparently he has pressure, which is better cripple than Dio Over Heaven. So Aizen is recommended over Dio Over Heaven. So Askin is over Ichigo Mugetsu, apparently, with his just damage in general for Hill and Hybrid. Support units, we already went over that. So apparently Aizen overall, they recommend more than Rukia. And they recommend that more than Shanks. And then they recommend Ichigo over Pucci Made in Heaven. And they recommend Asnote over Rimuru. So Good Hill Hybrid, they recommend Senjumaru over Gremmy now. And they recommend Asnote over Veldora and Rukia over Ichigo. Which is kind of a weird thing. But it is what it is. So there you go, guys. There's the tier list. Make sure you guys subscribe. I'll keep you guys up to date. And make sure you guys use the codes. I don't know which one of these. I think lag fixes still works. I don't know. Use them now or they might be expired. Catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.